when the sun's down. Nocturnal rainbows soar in the air so high. It may seem so that I can't see, but the darkness provides the light for me. I don't wanna be lonely, but the moon is my only homie. If there's a higher power, then show me instead of nocturnal rainbow. That is the hook from an old Hopsin song about 10-12 years ago. It is part of the subject matter, and I'm going to use it as a basis and explain it as we discuss how unity of all people is being shifted, and there's a nocturnal rainbow going on with it. But before we get there, let me get a word from our sponsors, my companies. I'd like to take a moment to thank all our sponsors. For everyone on Patreon who supports this channel through your monthly donations, you are greatly appreciated. And I look forward to providing you free content as well as exclusive live video chats. You will also be able to receive discounts on products from Uncle Ren's Popcorn as well as coaching from Coach Ren's. This video is also sponsored by Uncle Ren's Popcorn, where you can get 25 flavors of delicious gourmet popcorn, from salt and vinegar to strawberry cheesecake, from caramel and cheddar to bacon jalapeno, and many others like cookies and cream. I greatly appreciate everyone who supports us at Uncle Ren's Popcorn. This channel is also supported by Coach Ren's, where you can not only get all your life coaching, your relationship coaching, but also get your business coaching from Coach Ren's, as we teach you how to move your hobbies into a business. Not a job for yourself, but a business. We also teach you life principles of leadership and meditation. So go to CoachRenz.com and support the sponsors of this channel. So I appreciate everybody, and thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you're finding me for the first time, we talk about the 360 degrees of your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your spirituality. If you've been listening to me for a while, hit that subscribe button. Really, really. So as we take this journey across town today, we're going to talk about the fact that I got duped. I was watching this video. It was titled, Can We All Coexist? Or for my generation, in the ways of the expression that we had, and I just forgot the guy's name, can't we all just get along? It's kind of a joke. I know somebody in the comments is going to remind me of who that was. But Hopsin wrote a song about 10-12 years ago, and the hook, and the song is called Nocturnal Rainbows. You may not like the entirety of the song or what he's talking about, but that hook, that hook has me because of the discussion of a nocturnal rainbow. So first, let's break down what is a nocturnal rainbow before we talk about this whole discussion. A nocturnal rainbow. Can you have a rainbow at night? No, you cannot. In order to have a rainbow at night, you have to have a light. You have to have light. Water vapors in the air, the light reflecting through it. The water vapors normally after a rainstorm or near a spring or a waterfall creates a rainbow. In order to have a rainbow at night, you must have a false light. The reflection of the moon on the earth, the reflection of the sun, of the moon, the light of the moon from the reflection of the sun on the earth is not enough light to create a rainbow, but yet we have a nocturnal rainbow. So hear this, marinate on this. In order to have a rainbow at night, you must have a false light. You got that? In order to have a rainbow at night, you must have a false light. What you guys think about that? So as I spent about 7 minutes watching this video that I thought was about how we can all coexist, how we all are coming from the same perspective, because it used the coexist symbol with all the different religious, the coexist word with the different religious symbols. How can we all coexist? But the video is actually about, and I'm not going to give it, put it in the description because I'm not going to give it life. The video was actually about the fact that Anybody who's talking about coexisting, anyone who's talking about brotherly love, anyone who's talking about how we're all the children of God but come from different perspectives, different routes, is actually for this person, because of their religion, you're an antichrist. That same sentiment, though, is also found in other religions. So I'm not picking on the one. Because in Islam, if you are not Muslim, then you're an infidel. And if you are different versions of Islam, you're an infidel. Just like if you're different versions of Christianity, you're going to hell. You're different versions of Buddhist, you're going to hell. Or you're going to keep returning here to repeat this life. Or your caste systems of the Hindus. If we're all Brahmin, if you're all in the way of the Brahmin source, from source of Brahmin, how do you have a caste? How do you look down on your brother? How do you look down on women? How have for all these years every religion have looked down on women? To the point where if a woman expresses her esoteric self, it's called a witch hunt and you murder them. If you have a disagreement, in the old days in the church, they murdered you, they killed you. The Arab nation was built under the banner of Islam, but yet murdered and massacred each other. And just as a sidebar, I grew up saying, and many of you did as well, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me. Words have created more damage in people, cause people to become bulimic, take people into depression. On a grander scale, words is what Hitler used in order to create the rise of the Nazi Party, and then World War II and the Holocaust. And not only did Jews suffer in the Holocaust, but everybody, the handicapped, the melanated people, everybody suffered during that Holocaust if you was in those countries. The numbers may not be as great, but suffering is suffering. Words can be more damaging than anything else. This is why when I was raising my children, I followed this idea of the 1 minute manager. You uplift the person. You criticize the activity or the character, the behavior, and then you reaffirm the person. I had discussed how in a previous video that I went to an event at the Unity Church. The Unity Church, they're very accepting of wherever you came from in your foundation. As long as you understand that we all came into the room, maybe from different doors, but in the room, there is only one source, one God, one designer of all things. That it truly is not respective of person, where it would separate people and say that you are my chosen and the rest of you are not. Where it would say that I'm going to give my teachings to these people in this small area of the world, these few people. Now, I've come, I've lived, I've sacrificed myself, and I've raised myself up. And anybody who don't believe in me is going to hell, but yet billions of people have lived through time and never heard of you and died. Then the excuse is, well, a way had been made. Then why, if a way had been made, then why do we have to say that you're going to go to hell? But this is the concept of that guy's video. That if you don't believe in his version of what God is and salvation, that you're going to hell. And that anybody who talks coexisting, world peace, understanding that all religions lead to one source and one place in its core, in its truth, then if you don't believe if you believe that you teach that, then you're going to hell. That you're an antichrist. And I understand, and I know some people are going to come on here and they're going to say, well, the Pope said, because he said this in his video, the Pope said that it's all one religion, and the Pope said, well, you know, the papacy is not that great. The office of the papacy, the people, I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know. I can look at their history, I can look at their activity, and I can criticize their activities. I don't know the people. But what I can say is that some of the things done by the papacy ain't cool. I can agree with you on that. But that doesn't mean everything that they've done is jacked up. A person may do some jacked up things, but there's some good things about them. Now that may still make me not trust them, not want to deal with them, and I understand that. But it's too much of a sidebar there. Let's get back to what we're talking about. What I'm talking about. Unity. I do love that about the Unity Church. I actually went there for a little bit of time in 2017. Not to that particular one, but another one, an affiliate of it. I like most of the things they talked about. The Soul of Your Pet Day, I really wasn't for that. Their meditation sessions, the yoga, I enjoyed that. Most of the time, the message, I enjoyed that. I thought that they went on a slippery slope with the LGBTQ community. Because by accepting everything that every person does, you open up a slippery slope. This is again a sidebar. There's a slippery slope where you say, we're going to accept you. So then when the LGBTQ brings in the P's, are you going to accept the P's? Because personally, the behavior of the LGBTQ to say that I was born a woman inside of a man's body. I believe in I follow the law of gender. I don't believe, I follow the law of gender. The law of gender shows that everything in nature that is birthed, that is created, must have male and female. You cannot birth anything from all male. You cannot be male and then call yourself female. And just because we have the technology to give you a womb transplant, a uterine transplant, doesn't mean that you're female. You're still male. I'm not going, and that's the T's. Lifestyles are the L's and the B's and the Q's. The P's? Unity? You're going to accept the P's? The pedophiles? Nobody's born a pedophile. Sorry. You make a decision to be a pedophile. And if you accept the P's, then you accept anything. And a child, I don't care that the Jews have the bar mitzvah, which says that at 13 now you are accountable for your sins and now you're a man. The Hebrew Israelite says that once you start having your cycle, you're now a woman. No, you're a child and you still make child decisions. And because your body can produce a baby now, that doesn't make you a woman. I'm not accepting the P's. Because if you want me to accept it, don't show me one instance in nature. Show me an abundance in nature where that occurs. Show me where natural law happens. Like I said in my video the other day, we have to harmonize with natural law. Natural law in abundance does not say that the LGBTQP is right. It's part of nature. It's part of the way. It's part of source. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not. Do we have struggles? As human creatures, we can like anything we want to like, and we can reason anything we want to reason. But the pureness of nature, the pureness of universal force of natural law says that that is not the norm. I'm not calling the people abnormal, but the activity, the thought process is abnormal. And we all have our struggles that we will deal with. I was telling a group of people the other day that I have always struggled with this desire that when I see somebody bending over, I want to push them over. I don't know why, don't know where it came from. It's something that's in my head. But have I ever done it? No. I wouldn't do it. Now, well, let me rephrase it. Messing around with my kids, something like that, I push them over. But to like a stranger on the street, they drop something, they bend over, pick it up, they tie their shoe, come up to them and push them over? No. It's not accepted behavior. That is not love my neighbor. So let me get out of this sidebar. We say that in all religions that you're supposed to have brotherly love. But yet you will run into a building with people that you don't know, haven't done anything against you, and you'll blow up the building with all the people claiming that you're doing it in the name of Allah and that they are infidels. Have they ever had an opportunity to read your Quran? Do you know that? Do you know that somebody has ever come to them and said, let me teach you the ways of Allah? Did you ever give them that opportunity? Did you ever try to teach them about Allah? Or did you just run up in there and say, oh, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to blow you up. Did you ever try to teach them? Did you ever try to expose them to the Quran? No. Somebody got into your head. You're going to get 72 version. You've been living this oppressed life. You got to be a true child, a true son of Allah. And now they're even telling the women, if you do it, when you get to heaven, you'll be transfigured into a man and get your 72 virgin. You got to be on some serious feeling oppressed and depressed levels that you accept that. These are the nocturnal rainbows that I'm talking about. These are the false lights that I'm talking about. How are you going to preach a message of brotherly love, but you're going to cast all these people in hell? They ain't never heard of Yeshua. The guy in Uzbekistan right now, living his life in his little village, ain't never heard of Yeshua. Yeah, they going to hell. There's an island off the coast of Africa. Little stranger showed up, Christian stranger, they killed him because they have a isolationist mentality. Now you want to persecute these people. They don't know you. They don't know your laws. They don't know nothing about your law. But your laws ain't their laws. So why should they have to abide by your laws? They've been living peacefully on their own, doing their own thing. Who are you to determine how they should live their life? And then when one of you die, you want to complain. How is it brotherly love when you take people that you have enslaved, that you say have no souls, but yet you teach them your religion, but from the perspective of everything is whitewashed and that they should obey their masters and be good servants? But you don't believe they have souls. You teach in your privacy they don't have souls, but you teach them that they do have souls so that they will obey you and be a good servant. Where is the brotherly love in that? Where is the brotherly love in that you wear a white hood and you go around burning crosses and hanging people and yet call it brotherly, but you're supposed to have this brotherly love? Where is it? How do you stand on the street corner and profess a book that says that you're supposed to love your neighbor, but then you tell the white people that pass that I'm going to murder you, that we're going to have free reign to murder you when the 400 years is over, which is already over. That the 400 years is over, we can murder you, we can rape your daughters, we're going to do all these kinds of things, and yes, you got video out there showing it. And I know you're going to say, well, that's just a few. Those are the extremists. But you can't tell me that. That's a nocturnal rainbow. Because you got a false light. And almost every time it's somebody pulling you, you're in an oppressed state that's saying that. If you're not in the oppressed state, then you are the rarity of the oppressor trying to maintain your level of oppression over other people. Where's the love? If God is love, your book says God is love. In order to satisfy your karma, satisfy your dharma, you have to be a good person and show all this love. The Zoroastrians say good thoughts, good deeds, good actions. At the end, when you're at the judgment, that's how you get into heaven. But yet, if you're not born into being a Zoroastrian, then you cannot become one. You have to be born into it. You're not allowed to marry outside of it, which is why the Zoroastrians have been dying. That religion has been dying. There's only about 200,000-300,000 of them in the world today. It's their own death to themselves. But it used to be one of the largest monotheistic religions before Judaism in the Middle East and Persia. Now it's mainly in India. Sidebar. Where is the brotherly love? There is none. It's missing. You're devoid of it. You're a hypocrite. And you go around feeling good about it because you say, oh, I'm going to heaven. I'm going to heaven because I follow Allah. I'm going to heaven because I follow Yeshua. I'm going to heaven, but all of you are going to hell. I ain't going to try to teach you nothing, but all you going to hell. And even when you are out there teaching people, you're saying to yourself that all these other people who never heard, they going to hell. These people who won't listen, well, they have a reprobate mind, because they won't agree with you. They won't accept what you're saying. Now, the way that you say that, and it's starting to rain, so I don't know if it's going to be too loud now, but welcome to Georgia. The way that you say that, they have a reprobate mind. If you're Christian, you'll say that about a Muslim. And if you're a Muslim, they'll say you're an infidel, and you have the same mentality, because you want to accept Allah. How can we ever have unity if we got these nocturnal rainbows that we put up and propagate and talk about brotherly love and unifying, but you have the only way we can unify is to come under what I believe. That's hypocritical. I know you're gonna say, well, Allah came and Muhammad was his messenger, and all are supposed to come up under that banner and come up under the love of Allah, but they didn't want to. They were infidels. Why, if I was born Christian, why would I convert over to Islam without the spear that you pointed at me or my kids? Because that was how the main conversion first started. If I was born into African spiritualism, but then I was put on a boat and brought over to the Americas, and then I was beaten into Christianity, why would I convert if I hadn't been otherwise? If there's no threat, people are not converted in most situations. If there's no oppression, people are not converting in most situations. Most people, if they're born into a religion and something amazing happens to them, greatness happens to them, they give all accolades to whoever they currently believe. Why would they give it to your version of God? They wouldn't. So only people who find themselves distressed from their God will switch. Or they switch because many men have switched religion simply because of the woman they're with. So like the song says, I found heaven between your legs. Many of you just think, oh, he found a good feeling in between your legs. But if you really think about it, I found heaven between your legs. I switched my religion because of what you got between your legs. That's what that song says to me. That's what it says to me. Maybe y'all saying I'm thinking too deep on it, but that's what it says to me. Now, in that song, found the Nocturnal Rainbow, I don't want to be lonely, but the moon is my... Wait a minute. Yeah, I missed the skip part right there. When the sun's down, nocturnal rainbows soar in the air so high. It may seem so that I can't see. There we go. It may seem so that I can't see, but the darkness provides the light for me. I don't want to be lonely, but the moon is my only home. If there's a higher power, then show me, instead of nocturnal rainbows. I'm going to take that whole part right there. How does the darkness provide the light? The only darkness we have in light in nature, and he says the moon provides the light for me. So the moon is my only home. The moon is a reflection of the sun, of the light of the earth. So if the moon is a reflection of the sun, providing that light, we are all supposedly, based on every religion, a reflection of divinity. We're a reflection of the source, the Godhead. In the Brahmin teaching, man has a Godhead inside him, but man refuses to look inside him. His Godhead was hidden inside himself, inside of man, which is why man can't find his Godhead, and man is all destructive on the earth. Right? So man won't look inside himself to see his Godhead, so he can see the reflection of source, of the Brahman. In the Tao, we have to look inside ourselves to find the way, to acknowledge the way. Yeshua said that, is it not written that ye are gods? You have a divine spark inside you. And he was quoting what was said in Psalms. And I don't know if that song was written by David or Solomon, but it is just repeating the idea that ye are gods. It is repeating the idea that man has become like us after he ate from the apple, knowing both good and evil, having that ability to create. It is the same as let us make man in our image. You are a reflection, just as the moon is a reflection. But until you know that reflection, because the moon is my only homie, my reflection of who God is in me, who I am as a reflection of God, that reflection is how I know the Creator, how I know the all in the Hermetics. I know the all because in the law of mentalism, I create in the same way that the all creates. And as the all is in all are not the all. So the reflection of the all is inside of all, but that reflection doesn't make you the all, because the all cannot ever not know itself. If you were God, as many run around saying, then you would know that you are God, and you would act as God, not acting as man, which is a reflection of God. So all are not the all is in all, but the all is not the all. Now, what I need you to see and understand in that, and I'm going to end this video real quick here, is that when you know yourself is when you can find that unity. When you know who you are, that unity becomes abound inside you. Then you don't put on these labels. You don't say to yourself, let me label myself so I can negate myself. At that point, you say to yourself, I know that I am connected to everyone and all things. And that is the true opening of the third eye. The third eye is closed when you think that you're disconnected from everyone. And you've been taught that you've been disconnected from everyone. Those nocturnal rainbows, those false lights, got you thinking that you are somehow separate from everyone else and made special, when we are all connected. We are all under and within the same universe. We are all, as they say, in the same matrix. We just operating differently within it. And I'm actually going to do a whole video about operating within the matrix and how to move within the matrix. But we're all connected in that format. None greater than the other. No one more special than the other. But we're all the same. We're all trying to figure this thing out and have the best life that we possibly can in this existence and the next. But the best way to do that is to do that together in unity. It's kind of like, there's a guy, Gary Vee. He likes to talk. He's a marketing guy. He says that if you have a goal of building the biggest building, then you should go out and build the biggest building, not trying to tear down someone else's building. Not, I'm going to build your building. I'm going to build my building, but I want my building to be the biggest building, so I'm going to tear down someone else's building in order for my building to be the biggest building. I want to get to heaven, but the way that I'm going to get to heaven is to tear down other people's process of getting to heaven so that I can make sure that I get to heaven. I'm filled with God, and the way that I'm going to make sure that I'm filled with God is to tear down where other people aren't filled with God, that they're worshiping a false God. How about you truly get to an understanding of what you believe heaven is and God is, and that God is love, and can love destroy people who never even heard of you just by your framework, your case, your basis? Do you abide in love when you're doing that? No, you're not. And if you think that you are and you're truly not, you're actually abiding in how people like to keep us separate. But you think about this. There is no such thing as separate but equal. And in military strategy, if you want to conquer a people, you have to divide the people. I talk about Rwanda a lot. And if you think about it, the way that they kept Rwanda under task was to divide the Hutus and the Tutsis, to create war and strife between the two. And then when they gained their freedom, we had the massacres in 94. but they've come together now in unity, and they're getting ready to unify with other nations to create the East African Federation. As long as you keep people divided, you can control the people. Now, would a good God want to keep the people divided? Would a good God want people to be controlled at a state where they're fighting each other, where they're distracted and finding reason to hate each other, ignoring brotherly love and love in yourself, doing good deeds, good thoughts, good thoughts, good words, good deeds? Would a true loving God set up that situation? Or would man set up a situation that says that if I keep the people divided, I can control the people? If I keep you separate from each other, unable to work with one another, I can control the people. And I know the guy in the video that I had talked about earlier talked about how the Tower of Babel, people got into their pride and they wanted to become greater than God, and they built the Tower of Babel to become greater than God. So he confused the languages so they couldn't work together. But that confusion of languages ultimately creates the confusion of religion, the separation of religion, the separation of people more, and created wars with people. Now, if that was the true story of the Tower of Babel, then I would have a lot to say about how that is not the act of a good God, right? Because that creates confusion that has in time created war amongst people and separation amongst people. But see, that in itself is a nocturnal rainbow again. Because the true story of Babel, you have to understand first the word Babel comes from Babel, which means Bab-El, which means the gate of God. Not languages, not Babel. That's what, after the Hebrew story of it became popularized around the world through the Romans, that Babel transformed from the gate of God to confusion of languages, to Babel, to go on and on, you know, like I do sometimes, sidebars. But it was the gate to God. That's why Babylon is the gateway to God. The whole thing is the gateway to God. Look it up. It's a fact. It's not something I think or believe. Now, the true story, the Sumerian story, which came before the Hebrew story, was the fact that Marduk built the Tower of Babel as a communication post and a weapons post, and a tower for weaponry. That's what the Sumerian story says, which that story is like 4,000 or 5,000 years older. And it's a Sumerian story, which Abraham was Sumerian. Which the Hebrews that came out of Babylon under Darius I in around the 500s would have known that as a Babylonian story, as a Sumerian story that had been passed down over and over again for thousands of years. So the fact that you say that it's confusing of languages and man tried to get to God and that sort of thing, it's because Enlil represented El, and Marduk and Enlil were at war with each other. That's the Sumerian version. Nocturnal Rainbows, when you change it and fit something else, that creates more and more confusion, anger, and hatred amongst people. Nocturnal Rainbows, a false light, because it's a false information, false story. A story told in a culture that needed to convert the story into, that desired, not needed, that converted the story into something that fits them. So we have to stop getting these nocturnal rainbows. Once you open up your divinity inside, you open your third eye and you release these labels and these conditions that gets you closer to your crown and understanding who you are as a reflection, of the Creator, then you can actually find love amongst your fellow man, your brethren. You don't separate and say the woman is lower than the man, the blacks are lower than the whites, and the whites are lower than the blacks. You don't do that anymore. You stop doing that. So I'm going to end this video right there. We can all find unity, peace, and love if we just realize that we've been fed a lot of nocturnal rainbows. And although I'm going to use this in another video, go look up saying number 5 in the Gospel of Thomas. And it says that something to the effect that once you see what's in front of you, then all will be revealed to you, for nothing is hidden. The nocturnal rainbows is right in front of you. The false light is right in front of you. If you can see the false light, then you can understand that it's a nocturnal rainbow in the way that you've been living and thinking and believing. And that your true living way of thinking, your way of believing, is only when you recognize that what you have been taught does have wisdom of the divine, but you've been given the nocturnal rainbow of it, of the false light of it. And when you take off the veil and see it for what it is, then you can see the true light, and the trueness will be revealed in front of you. That the Creator made all things according to nature, and that as we read as reflections of that Creator, we have the ability to love, and that love does not kill, murder, steal, maim. Love does not create labels that separate ourselves to the point where we find hatred towards other people or condemn other people and judge them. So, take it how you will. Love to hear the comments. Y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.